Bless the World. Wasn't that beautiful? The sound wasn't quite right, but the music was great. And the words were wonderful, especially for the service that we're doing today. I have announcements for you. Most are on the back of your order of service, so you could read them, but I'm going to highlight a few things because we want to keep you informed. First of all, chronological order. Next Saturday, the 15th at 10 in the morning, the NAACP is meeting here in the Religious Education Building, and we are partnering with NAACP. They will have two guest speakers, a couple of fellows from the ACLU of New Mexico, speaking on incarceration issues. Some prison reform, maybe, some prison elimination, maybe. Mass incarceration is clearly racist, and all of that. So anyway, that would be really interesting for all of you. And then that evening at 6, CUPS is holding its potluck and ritual, also in the Religious Education Building. CUPS is the Coven of Unitarian Universalist Pagans. And so if that interests you, if you'd like to check it out, come at 6. Bring something to share for the potluck table and stay for the ritual. Then the following weekend, we are going to be busy because from the 21st to the 23rd is our annual church campout, and you can get all kinds of directions how to get there. This is up in the Gila, and Jim Bassler and Jimmy Bassler will have information for you where you get your coffee, cookies, and everything else. Also that Friday, the 21st, Eating Out will meet at the Cattle Baron on Telshore. It's right near the mall, the Mesilla Valley Mall. But be sure to make a reservation so that we can all sit together. If you just come, you may have to sit at a separate table, and that wouldn't be as much fun. So you need to let Janet Martinique know that you're coming. Is Janet here this morning? I don't think so. Okay, but you can email her at eatingout@uuchurchlc.org, okay? But be sure to get your reservation in. And then, just for your information, Reverend Rod Thompson, who's going to serve as our halftime minister beginning August 20th, will be arriving in early August, and he's going to need help moving into his apartment. So details will be coming soon. Those with strong backs can help unload the pod and get the furniture in and that sort of thing. And those of us whose backs are not working very well these days can help unload some of the items, like in the kitchen. We can set up the kitchen utensils and all of that and get that put away. So there's something for everybody, and there will probably be some food and beverages involved. And finally, the weekend of September 15th to 17th will be the annual Women's Spirit Retreat over in the Sacramento Mountains, not too far from Cloudcroft, south of Cloudcroft. And the reason I bring this up now, when it isn't until September, is because the early bird discount ends on August 10th. So you want to get your reservation in soon. There are forms out in the lobby, also over in the RE building where we will be having hospitality. So, and by the way, some financial assistance is available for those who need it. Oops. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. So good to see you this morning. When I was selecting music for today, I just want to give you a little bit of an explanation. It was a little bit hard. We don't have things in the back of the hymnal called blessings. They're disguised as other things. So I had to find and figure out those other things. And so a blessing, and I know Reverend Sickafoose will be talking about this later, but you have someone's blessing. That's a good thing. And so we're going to begin with a gathering song that's sort of a greeting blessing, an interchange that blesses each other. Our opening hymn is a blessing. It's a UU blessing by Fred Small, To Be Whoever You Are. We're going to sing along with, this is kind of hard to sing as a hymn. It's long and varied. And so if you have your teal hymnal, you can follow along. But we're going to sing along with a video of the Boston Gay Men's Chorus. They do a great job, and the words are on the screen there. Then we have a blessing by Joan Shimko. We'll do as a sort of meditation. Amazing Grace, I think of as a blessing. Some of us think that the moon and Dave Brubeck are blessings, and so I threw that in there. And then when we sing the children out, that's a blessing. Our closing song is a children's blessing, but it's for all of us, and so we'll sing that. And then I end with the Gaelic blessing that most of us are familiar with. So I tried to keep with the theme. It was a little bit of a challenge, but we actually have it all the time. We have these blessings. We just don't call them that. So we're going to begin with a Zulu greeting. It's Sawabona. You want to say that after me? Sawabona. Okay. And that means I see you. And the answer to that is Sikona. And that means I am here. And then another concept in the community is Ubuntu. I am because we are. And so I invite you to sing this with me. I'll play it on the piano and sing it, and just jump in and sing it with me. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing this together. Sawabona, 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 sikona. Sawabona, sawabona, sikona, ubuntu. 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 Sawabona, 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 sikona. Sawabona, sawabona, sikona, ubuntu.
You all are great, being courageous enough to sing in Zulu. And it sounded good. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces. We are so glad you have joined us this morning, especially hearing those lovely voices. Either here in the sanctuary or, of course, through streaming technology on YouTube. I'm Jan Thompson, your service associate today. I haven't done this for a long time. And wouldn't you know, I picked a Sunday when the service leader is not actually here to handle parts of this. So, but I'm among friends, right? Okay. So our service leader is the Reverend Munro Sickafoose via a pre-recorded sermon. And you've already met our director of music, Catherine Massey. And in a little while, you will meet our director of religious education, Kelly Ingram. Also helping today are Elwin Nunn on camera, Mike Yasko on tech, and Claire Neal Wallace on audio. Our greeters are Carol Stanfield, Jane Ash, and Mark Sukantarak. And the hospitality is provided by the membership committee. So you see, it takes a village to make a good service for you, and I think you're going to find this is a good one. Unitarian Universalism has no creed or dogma. We are a covenant-based church, meaning that we agree to live in relationship with each other according to the Unitarian Universalist principles and our congregation's covenant of right relations. We embrace diversity in all its forms. Everyone is welcome. If I'm welcome, everyone is welcome. You can learn more about our church at the website uuchurchlc.org. If you're visiting our church for the first time, we would like to meet you. And if there's somebody in the sanctuary and you're comfortable doing so, we ask that you either raise your hand or stand and introduce yourself, telling us your name and where you are from. So wait until I bring the mic to you. Do we have any visitors today?
Pam can't hear that well. Everybody know who you are.
Okay. Please wait.
Loudly, I can't hear.
Yeah, right.
So I'm from Oregon, Southern Oregon most recently. My name is Pam.
Welcome, Pam. Welcome. And yeah, so you could speak loudly, but when it goes through here, then they can hear us on YouTube. That's why we use the microphone. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Well, we're all old hats here, okay. Okay, well, we certainly are pleased that you've joined us, Pam, and hope you will return. I don't know how long you're planning to stay. Have you moved to Las Cruces? Oh, she can't hear me, okay. And fill out a visitor's card. I assume the greeters will make sure that she does that. If you're a shy visitor, that's perfectly okay. But we do want you to fill out a visitor's card anyway. They're either in the lobby or on the back of the chair in front of you, and leave it with us so that we can stay in contact. And please stay for our hospitality after the service, where we celebrate the 3 C's: cookies, coffee, and conversation. And it'll be in the religious education building just down the breezeway. Follow the crowd, and you'll get there, and the smell of coffee. Okay. Our opening words today are by the senior minister at the First Unitarian Church in Albuquerque. Her name is Angela Herrera, and this is from her meditation book called Reaching for the Sun. Don't leave your broken heart at the door. Bring it to the altar of life. Don't leave your anger behind. It has high standards, and the world needs vision. Bring them with you, and your joy, and your passion. Bring your loving and your courage and your conviction. Bring your need for healing and your power to heal. There is work to do, and you have all that you need to do it right here in this room. Okay, we're going to light the chalice. It is our tradition to light our chalice, which is a symbol of our liberal faith, and it signifies the beginning of our service. Today's words are by Reverend Scott Taylor, called The Delightful Light. It's already written. This light, it dances, barely able to contain its delight. Thank you. Just get it right. And it seems to want us to do the same. So this morning, may we let it lure us into letting go of the worries, of the stiffness that sets in after all the striving, of the myth that productivity alone gives us purpose. This garden of life we've been given is a playground. The weeding can wait. So says this delightful flame. Very good. Perseverance. Excellent. Okay, I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join with me in saying our affirmation of covenant and then singing our doxologies in English and in Spanish. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Okay, good for you. And now it's time for, what do we call it? Time for all ages, led by our Director of Religious Education, Kelly Ingram.
Good morning, church.
Good morning, Kelly. I'm sorry I need that.
Ooh. Okay. Saying bless you or God bless you after someone sneezes seems to be a reflex response. Why do we feel compelled to say it to anyone who sneezes, even if the sneezer is a stranger or the sneeze is heard from far away? This catchphrase is so common and taught from childhood that most people don't even think of it as a blessing, but rather as a phrase with no specific meaning other than being a polite response. If repeated enough times, especially with positive reinforcement, the sneezer says, "Thank you." It becomes increasingly involuntary. It starts to be done without conscious thought. Today, people aren't quite sure why they are saying it, but they're afraid if they don't say it, people will think they're rude or that they don't care. Some folks even say "bless you" to their cats and dogs. But where did this phrase come from? Historically, sneezes were thought to be an omen or a warning from the gods. Pope Gregory the Great believed that a sneeze was an early warning sign of the plague, so he commanded Christians to respond to a sneeze with a blessing. In ancient times, people believed that sneezing would allow evil spirits to enter the body, and that by saying "God bless you," it kept out those evil spirits. However, other responses to sneezing, Gesundheit in German, Salud in Spanish, came from the idea that a sneeze is a sign of is a sign of divine benevolence. Of all the random things in this world that happen to be associated with God, why sneezing? According to Dr. Omar Sultan of Harvard Medical School, the onset of sneezes appears to be random. So assigning them a divine blessing may function as a way to explain things when ordinary explanations are absent. So why do so many of us feel compelled to offer a blessing after someone sneezes? Is it a conditioned response? People often say "thank you." Does that serve as a reward? Is it friendliness? Saying "bless you" may create an extremely brief, passing, feel-good connection to a person, a micro-affection as opposed to a micro-aggression. Is it conformity? Most folks conform to the norm. Maybe not UUs, but most folks. Is saying "bless you" in response to a sneeze part of the courtesy that inspires so many of our social norms? Is it caring for the well-being of others? Are we humans so universally invested in the health of others? The answer is, we don't know. We don't know why we say "bless you," but we continue to say "bless you" anytime anyone sneezes. And I'm okay with that, because no matter how blessed we are, who among us couldn't use an extra blessing? Thank you.
Again, if you weren't here earlier, this is on video and the words will be up there. But if you don't know it, or if you think it would be helpful if you read music, especially 1019 in the Teal hymnal, you can follow along there. I invite you to sing along.
It was written by Fred Small, who
We clear off the table.
Well, the words were supposed to be there. Best laid plans. The words are wonderful. So this morning, you are invited to come forward when the music begins and light a candle. You may light a candle for whatever purpose you desire, but perhaps today, I might suggest that in light of today's theme, you might want to light a flame in gratitude for a blessing or blessings that you have received. And I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I have the mic right now and say that I will be lighting a candle for two things. The first is that my 85-year-old brother, who is traveling by bicycle across country, was found in a ditch. He has no memory of where he is and what happened, and he's out in the middle of nowhere in Virginia, and a shopkeeper saw him and gave him and his bike a ride to his shop and will take care of the bike. And another person in town has taken my brother to his house to get him cleaned up. So yeah, it's a worry, probably heat exhaustion, but we don't know yet. And then I wanted to read this. Do any of you know Anselmo Delgado Martinez? Have you ever met him? He was director of general services at El Calvario Immigrant Hospitality Center until 2019 when his wife got ill and he had to stop. He's a Marine, or he was a Marine, always a Marine. And he posted on Facebook yesterday, at about 8:30 a.m. this morning, Staff Sergeant Athena Delgado Nageli passed away at home in her bed with her favorite toys, a stuffed shark and a rubber ball. She was preceded by her older brother Buddy and younger brother Thor. Her last act of courage was settling her soldier down during last week's 4th of July fireworks. While even in constant pain, she had had a stroke, and he nursed her back to where she could walk, not run, but walk. She stayed true to her GI. Run, run. You are now free of pain. No public viewing. She will be buried at her favorite spot with full military honors. So when the music begins, I invite you to come forward and light a candle.
For this meditation, I'm going to sing a phrase, and I just invite you to sing it back to me. And just hold the last note of the phrase as long as you can until it's time to sing the next one. Just to be is a blessing. Just to be is holy. Is holy. Just to be is a blessing. Just to live is holy. Just to be is a blessing. Just to live is holy.
Today's reading, Gift, is by Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath was born into a high-standing family in India. He was the 14th child in the family, and it was his father was a Hindu. He headed the Brahmo Samaj, which was the Hindu reform movement. And Rabindranath did participate in that program until it turned violent. And he could not condone that. So he did other things. He became a controversial figure because he was very outspoken. And then he started touring. He toured in England and other European countries, and he came to the United States. And in fact, he spoke at the UU church that I was a member of in Detroit. Not when I was there, it was before that. But he's a quite prolific poet. And so this is called The Gift. Oh, my love, what gift of mine shall I give you this dawn? A morning song? But morning does not last long. The heat of the sun wilts it like a flower, and songs that tire are done. Oh, friend, when you come to my gate at dusk, what is it you ask? What shall I bring you? A light? A lamp from a secret corner of my silent house? But will you want to take it with you down the crowded street? Alas, the wind will blow it out. Whatever gifts are in my power to give you, be they flowers, be they gems for your neck, how can they please you if in time they must surely wither, crack, lose luster? All that my hands can place in yours will slip through your fingers and fall forgotten to the dust, to turn to dust. Rather, when you have leisure, wander idly through my garden in spring and let an unknown hidden flower's scent startle you into sudden wondering. Let that displaced moment be my gift. Or if, as you peer your way down a shady avenue, suddenly spilled from a thick, gathered tresses of evening, a single shivering fleck of sunlight stops you, turns your daydreams to gold. Let that light be an innocent gift. Truest treasure is fleeting. It sparkles for a moment, then goes. It does not tell its name. Its tune stops us in our tracks. Its dance disappears at the toss of an anklet. I know no way to it. No hand nor word can reach it. Friend, whatever you take of it on your own, without asking, without knowing, let that be yours. Anything I can give you is trifling, be it a flower or a song. And now we will hear from Munro Sickafoose, the Reverend Munro Sickafoose, who served this congregation earlier this year part-time along with Gary Kowalski.
Good morning. I'd like to start today by talking about gifts. Every aspect of our existence is a gift. A gift from Spirit or God, Allah, Jehovah, the ground of being, or the great mystery, whatever you want to call it. And we are not entitled to any of it. Our lives, our breath, our sight, our bodies, our reason, our food, our shelter, our parents, our children, our lovers and partners, our technology and all our stuff, the land, the water, the air, all of these and more, every bit of reality. These are all gifts for us to steward. And this is in direct opposition to consumer capitalism, which tells us that we, or someone, or something like a corporation, can possess, can own all these things. Perhaps the reverse is true and we're possessed by them. Some people certainly are. But these are all gifts which need to be received graciously, with gratitude and humility, and without thinking that we somehow own them. This is the spiritual practice, and it's much harder even than gratitude or generosity. These gifts are not ours. We are not entitled to them. They pass through us and we pass through them because, as Lewis Hyde has so written beautifully about gifting, the gift must always move. We must always be returning these gifts in one fashion or another, or the world stops. Think of a whirlpool or tornado. They have form only because of what is flowing through them, the water or the air. And so it is with the world and our lives. A gift that is not consumed or passed on becomes, in Lewis Hyde's words, a commodity. And a commodity is something whose exchange is simply transactional, makes no connection and leaves no connection, makes no mark. And this is why commodities are associated with both freedom and alienation. We cannot hoard these gifts. When we do, the connections made by these gifts are broken. When the gifts of life and love cease to move, to flow, the world stumbles and maybe falls. And among other things, we get inequality, as great piles of these gifts are turned into profit and stop flowing and accumulate in the hands of the few. The circle of life gets broken and the world gets eaten up, which is where we find ourselves. For this is the paradox of the gift. When the gift is used, it is not used up. What is given away feeds again and again, while what is held onto feeds only once and leaves us hungry for more. Every such gift must be returned back to the world and to the great circle of life. And as they pass through our lives and our hands and our hearts, we must bless them and add to them and pass them on so that the world may continue, and the people may live. There's another way to refer to all of these gifts. We call them blessings. We say that we're blessed with good health, with long life, with a good job, with healthy relationships, with beautiful children. It's a pretty common way of talking about these things, one that's embedded in our language and in many cultures. So I think it's worthwhile to unpack that a little. In traditional religious language, to bless something is to sanctify, to make it holy. And there's some debate about the etymology of the word, but most sources trace it back to Old English and the act of consecration by anointing an altar with blood, typically the blood of a sacrificial animal. And that was back when your domestic animals meant survival for you and yours. And to give one up was a pretty significant act. To sacrifice is to give up something important or valued for the sake of other considerations. To make something sacred is to set it apart from the mundane, and in many cases to make it untouchable and unchangeable. But to be blessed in the way I noted before is to have been granted happiness or health or prosperity, or to have been endowed with some talent or aspect such as perfect pitch or photographic memory or physical attractiveness. But who or what does the granting or endowing? Many people would say it's the act of some divine power and that they're favored by their deities. That's pretty dangerous theological territory, because the flip side of that is that those who don't enjoy such blessings are not favored by those gods or goddesses. So is it any wonder we might hesitate to use such language? And the implied question is, where do such blessings come from? Luck, divine favor, good genes, your socioeconomic status, hard work, the accident of birth. The threads of good fortune are tangled together, and it's really hard to tease them apart, and many blessings, as we know, are mixed blessings. But whatever their source, I think we personally have a lot less to do with it than we'd like to imagine. And I think that understanding goes a long way toward keeping perspective on our lives and our fortunes. It keeps us humble, or it should. But wherever our blessings come from and however they show up in our lives, it's important that we bless the world in return. Whatever the depth and breadth of our blessings, be they many or few. They may seem like obvious questions, but why and how should we do that? Unitarian Universalists have long been described as being a heady bunch, which has always seemed pretty accurate to me. Heady, of course, is a euphemism for left-brained. Our heritage favors the rational side of things. We like to have reasons, sometimes perhaps too well thought out and complicated reasons for the things that we do. So when we talk about blessing the world, we tend to think in prescriptive terms. Be kind, give to charity, pay it forward, advocate for legislation that we like, change our language to change the world. And if we could just make all those things happen, then the world would be a better place. Perhaps. The intentions are good, but I think the record so far is pretty mixed. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do those things, but maybe we need to be working on the hips to fix the crick in our necks, so to speak. Trying to change complex systems with linear thinking can be extremely frustrating. A straight line doesn't always get you where you want to go. So in that spirit, let's take a little detour into that left brain, right brain thing. Back in 2009, Ian McGilchrist published a book titled The Master and His Hemisphere, The Divided Brain and the Making of the Western World. In it, he contends that the popular notion of the brain hemisphere as respectively logical and creative in nature is superficial and just wrong. And that the correct view is that they pay attention in fundamentally different ways. The left brain being detail-oriented, the right brain being whole-oriented. In broad terms, we could say that it's the job of the right hemisphere to envision what is going on holistically, while the left one provides precision on particular issues. It's the right brain that's responsible for surveying the whole scene and directing all the data coming in, so it's more directly in touch with the world. So the right usually knows what the left is doing, but the left may not even be aware of anything outside its narrow focus. It has blinders on, which allows for that precision. And the hemispheres have a partnership that evolved over millennia. But like much of evolution, it's a bit of a hack, and one that can go wrong when one partner becomes too dominant. His larger claim is that the emphasis on left brain, precise categorical thinking has come at the expense of the bigger picture, and has now reached a point where it's seriously distorting both our lives and our thought. So what has that got to do with blessing the world? Well, like a body worker who fixes that crick in your neck by adjusting your hips, we can affect change by doing something that may not seem to make sense at first. Some of you may remember the story of Joe Bolte Taylor, the neuroscientist who was able to observe and remember the experience of having a cerebral hemorrhage that shut down the left hemisphere of her brain. She watched herself lose the ability to speak, move, and understand. That must have been terrifying, huh? Well, here's what she has to say about it. It was as though my consciousness had shifted away from my normal perception of reality, where I'm the person on the exercise machine having the experience, to some esoteric space where I'm witnessing myself having this experience. I looked down at my arm and I realized that I can no longer define the boundaries of my body. I can't define where I begin and where I end because the atoms and molecules of my arm blended with the atoms and molecules of the wall, and all I could detect was this energy. And I'm asking myself, What is wrong with me? What is going on? And at first, I was shocked to find myself inside of a silent mind. But then I was immediately captivated by the magnificence of energy around me. And because I could no longer identify the boundaries of my body, I felt enormous and expansive, and I felt at one with all the energy that was, and it was beautiful there. End quote. As her left hemisphere ceases to function, she's able to fully access the right brain's experience of the world, of that sense of unity and belonging that seems to elude us much of the time. She goes on to say that religion is a story that the left brain tells the right brain. But if that relationship is out of balance, as Ian Bivilcris claims, then our work is to restore the balance and have the right brain tell the bigger story, the one that keeps the work of the left in perspective. Now, short of having a stroke, we human beings have millennia of experience in getting the left hemisphere to shut the frack up and listen and pay attention. Some forms of meditation, for instance, repeating a mantra, mind-altering drugs, fasting, prayer, ritual, and worship, and blessing the world in that original sense of sanctify, of making the world whole. So let's give that last one a try, shall we? I invite you to simply bless everything you see or hear or taste or touch, and everything that's unseen as well. Don't judge anything. Just bless and keep on blessing every chance you get. Bless the good and the bad, whatever you consider beautiful or ugly. Bless your enemies and your friends and every stranger. Bless the sun and the moon and the stars. Bless the trash and the trees. Bless it all. Bless it all. And if you can, raise your hand in benediction and speak aloud in that blessing. And I know that may be somewhat embarrassing in public, so just raise an imaginary hand and silently speak your blessings. And it's going to feel funny at first, but stick with it on a daily basis. When you get a free second at a stoplight or waiting in line, you know, anywhere, anytime you have something that you might be doing, like looking at your phone, bless the world. And you're going to be busy because there's a lot to bless. There's a whole big wide world to bless. And when we start to bless all the parts of the world, they are joined together by the blessings. And we begin to experience the world as a unity and ourselves as just a part of it, continually blessing and being blessed. And then we move into communion with the world. This changes the brain and our relationships to each other and the world. Jill Bolte Taylor notes that there was both freedom and challenge for me in recognizing that our perception of the external world and our relationship to it is a product of our neurological circuitry. And what we want to do is nudge those circuits in the right direction. No pun or politics intended. We want to nudge those circuits in the right direction. To sanctify the world by blessing it. Now that can't work, says the left hemisphere. I got to figure things out. I got to slice the world into smaller and smaller pieces, seeking ever more precision. I've got to fix things, come up with a plan and execute it. I have all these prescriptions you should take. That's the way to change the world, says the left brain. But without communion, those plans really seem to flounder, don't they? And communion is something that the left brain just isn't capable of. Religion has to be a story that the right brain tells the left. And that brings me to a couple of conclusions. First, as a practical matter, we need to seek communion before action. Communion grounds our actions and our plans in something larger than ourselves by linking together everyone and everything involved. And second, as a spiritual matter, if we don't bless the world, who will? May it be so. Thank you for listening. Go out and bless the world.
Okay, our closing, please stand and as willing and able. What? Oh, the offering. Oh. Oh, we can't forget that. I was ready for you to go out and bless the world. Okay. Well, the operation and outreach of this church needs your input and your contributions. So may each of us think about what we can give back to the congregation with our talent, time, and treasure. In a moment, the greeters will pass among you with the offering baskets. Please give generously. But before they do that, I should remind you that we support local organizations identified by the Social Justice Committee with our Change for Change program. This quarter's recipient for our Change for Change donations is Children's Reading Alliance. You can give to them by putting your change, your coins, in the basket, by putting paper money in a donation envelope, which should be in the chair in front of you, and marking it for Change, or by writing Change for Change on the memo line of your check. All monies raised for Children's Reading Alliance will be used to put books in the hands of children and their families. And we know that books are so important to the literacy and the development of our world. So please give generously. It's a blessing to have Catherine here today, isn't it? Having her up here with me has given me courage, too. We're going to do our closing song, Children's Recessional by Joyce Poley, and please rise in body and/or spirit. The words will be on the monitor.
As you go on your way, may you be filled with gladness. Go in joy, go in joy. May fortune bless your way with peace and loving kindness. Go in love, go in love. As you go on your way, may you be filled with gladness. Go in joy, go in joy. May fortune bless your day with peace and loving kindness. Go in love, go in love.
Be seated. We end our gathering with gratitude for camaraderie, shared wisdom, goodwill, and support that we extend to each other within this community. May we continue to bless each other with these gifts, and may we reflect those blessings back out into the world as we minister to those around us. And now will you please join me in the words for extinguishing our flame? We extinguish this flame. But not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Choir members, you know this. Sing along. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of their hand. Go in peace.